Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited and thrilled to launch this Kubernetes series. In this program, there will be a power pack of Kubernetes learning which will be delivered through whiteboarding sessions and various hands-on labs. This program is for a Kubernetes beginner as well as for a seasoned Kubernetes person. We'll be covering soup to nuts of Kubernetes, starting from why Kubernetes, what are the various Kubernetes objects, how the Kubernetes objects fit into the Kubernetes architecture. Then we will have hands-on exercises around creating the Kubernetes objects within Minikube cluster. We will create our own Kubernetes cluster, and finally we will explore some of the Kubernetes orchestration engine offered by various cloud service providers. This is a great journey. There will be a lot of learning. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do consider subscribing to get more content like this. By the by, where do we start with Kubernetes? Let us try to understand why Kubernetes. That is what we are going to talk in this video. Software applications were initially built using the monolithic architecture. So in the monolithic architecture, all the components required for the functioning of that application were crammed into a physical server. So what it means, if we want to scale up a specific component within the application, it was not possible. And there were a lot of performance issues, scalability issues. The applications were not resilient. So these limitations led to the service-oriented architecture. In the service-oriented architecture, all the components of that monolithic application were peeled. They were peeled into separate services, and each of the services were deployed in a virtual machine. These services communicate with each other through the enterprise service bus. And the enterprise service bus at that point of time were poorly implemented. That was one of the main reasons why the service-oriented architecture was not successful. This limitation gave rise to the microservices architecture, or kind of containerized architecture. I would say this is a glorified form of the microservices architecture is a glorified form of the service-oriented architecture, but just that the microservices are deployed as a container. Instead of deploying it in a virtual machine, the microservices are deployed on a container. So in a production workload, we might have hundreds and thousands of containers. So let's say if and that too, those containers might be deployed across multiple hosts. So let's say if one of the containers crashes, or if we need to scale up the containers, if we need to scale down the containers, so all those requirements, around the capacity, it's not handled out of the box with the Docker system. And that is the reason we had the Docker Swarm and others, but Docker Swarm was not so popular. So that's one of another orchestration engine, but it was not very popular. So all these problems around the scalability and high availability of these containers gave rise to the Kubernetes orchestration engine. The Kubernetes orchestration engine make sure that it can scale up and scale down appropriately based on the load. So what it means is, in Kubernetes world, the workload that we will be putting in will be inside a pod. So pod is one of the concepts within Kubernetes, which is an abstraction over the container. So depending on whatever configuration that we have provided, the orchestration engine makes sure that the number of pods are there to service the requests. I will stop there, and we are going to talk more about pods and other things in the later videos. this is a brief history of Kubernetes. And if you have any questions and any suggestions, anything that can be done better, please drop in your comments below. I will see you soon in another Kubernetes episode soon. Thank you so much.